human communication boils down to effective conversations, and we create unnecessary problems when we avoid the guidelines for good, effective, and interesting conversations. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some pointers on how to engage in conversations like an elegant person. This video is certainly for you if you are looking to have more engaging, interesting, valuable, and effective conversations in your relationships. Before we go into the video, it's important for you to subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, join our email list because a lot of fun stuff happens via that platform. And if you ever have found any of my videos valuable, or if you find this one valuable, be sure to share it with your family and friends, because you never can tell who would need the information that we share on this platform. So go ahead and share the links, and let's just continue the conversation and let it spread amongst those who we truly love and cherish. Without further ado, let's get right into today's video, shall we? The very first tip that I've put down here on my list that can help you engage in conversations like an elegant person would be for you to have the mentality that conversations are essential to foster and nurture relationships. Whether it's relationship with your partner, your family, your child, your uncle, your mom, your colleague at work, even the market woman who sells you your regular produce. Conversations are essential to ensure that your relationships stay thriving. Without putting a premium or value on conversations, trust me, a lot of things will go wrong very, very quickly. So just having that mentality that conversations are important, whether they are casually done or formally done or semi-formally done, whichever way they're done, whether it's via phone, via text, via phone call, in person, conversations are very essential, and you have to have that mentality as an elegant person. The second point I put down here is respect every conversation, whether it was initiated by you or someone else. See conversations as beautiful opportunities for you to express yourself, express your thoughts, express your ideas, and then also get to know other people's thoughts, ideas, and feelings as well. See conversations as opportunities for you to learn, to understand, to get into the other person's feelings and emotions, and just get into their lives to know exactly what it is that maybe is hurting them, or things that they love, the things they enjoy, and whatnot. So ensure that you're respecting every conversation. It gives you insight into someone else's perspective. It gives you insight into a lot of things that you may not necessarily know if you did not have a conversation. So ensure that you're placing a lot of value and respect on conversations, okay? My top tip here for how to engage in conversation will be for you to bring your full focus to every conversation. Avoid every form of distractions. Let it go. It is not the time to get yourself distracted. And if you really put a premium on your conversations and you respect conversations, you would ensure that you engage in every conversation without any form of distraction. And I always say that if you are not readily available for a conversation, or you know that you're not going to give it your premium attention, then it's important that you ask for more time or politely request that the conversation be adjourned to another time where you would have the time and you would be fully engaged and give your full attention to the conversation. But having conversations and distracting yourself is an utter lack of interest or respect in the conversation and for the person who you are having the conversation with. The next point that I've put down here that can help you engage in conversations like an elegant person will be for you to understand the main point of the conversation and let that guide your words, your responses, or feedback when you speak. This one is the most annoying of all, and I've seen people who actually engage in conversation without trying to understand what the point of the conversation is. When you don't understand the point of a conversation, you can easily miss out on a whole lot, go OP, like off point, and bring a lot of frustration and tension into the conversation you are having, especially when the person has literally explained what they're trying to explain in the clearest possible terms, But because you are way stuck up in your head and thinking about something differently, you are interpreting what the person is saying with something else and not understanding what the person is actually trying to tell you. So ensure that for every conversation, you pay attention, and when you pay attention, you are understanding the main point for that conversation so that you are staying right on topic. Okay? The next point that can help you have conversations like an elegant person will be for you to only speak when it is your turn to speak, and never cut off your speaker when they're speaking. It's considered very rude behavior when you cut people off, especially when they're still trying to make their point. Never interrupt a person when they're trying to make their points. The only times you are allowed to interrupt is maybe when you are crunched for time, or when it's actually a matter of life and death, and if you don't interrupt at that time, the person speaking may die. That's the only time you are allowed to interrupt. And if you want to interrupt because you're crunched for time, allow them to maybe bring a little pause to what they're saying before you interject. But never interject when someone is truly at the middle of making their points, okay? It's very rude. Very, very rude behavior. Next one will be for you to stay on topic and don't spend so much time trying to explain your points. Going in circles around. Like, get straight to the point. No one cares about the layers and the branches. The most important thing is for you to make your points in a way that your listeners understand what you're saying. But when you keep going on and on, you bore yourself, you bore everyone, you lose your train of thought, you lose your focus, and the conversation just becomes a blur. So please stay on topic, stay on course, and make your points as quickly as possible. Okie dokie. Next point to engage in conversation like an elegant person will be for you to contribute to the conversation as much as you can, and do not allow the conversation to be one-sided. It's considered a conversation for a reason. It's because two people or more are involved in the conversation. So when you're letting just the one person speak, it becomes very monotonous. So ensure that you as the listener is engaging in the conversation by maybe nodding your head in agreements, by responding when it's your turn, or contributing when you have something to say, or just by being focused and attentive to whatever it is that the person is saying. And then of course, most importantly, contribute to the conversation, okay? The next point here would be for you to refrain from using words or phrases that hurt the feelings of the other person. When you engage in a conversation, if it's heated, whether it's not heated, even sometimes when you're engaged in a playful conversation, you use words that hurt. Sometimes it may sound playful, but it hurts. So when you know the person who you're in a conversation with, try as much as possible not to go below the belt, okay? Before we continue with the video, remember that we have the Art of Speaking course available for anyone who is looking to elevate their speaking and communication and pretty much learn how to speak and communicate more elegantly and eloquently. I'm going to put a link in the description box down below where you can get more information about the course and also how to access the course as well. All right, let's get back into the video. The next point that I've put down here that can help you engage in conversations like an elegant person will be for you to listen with rapt attention. Listen with rapt attention at what the other person is saying, and then don't make judgments or conclusions based on the concocted version you have made up in your head. This point is somehow related to the previous point, because when you're staying stuck in your head and not bringing your attention to the conversation that you're having, you can easily concoct your own version of what the other person is trying to say, instead of you giving him or her your rapt attention and understanding what they're saying from their perspective or point of view, and not from your own concocted version in your head. When you concoct things and give it meaning or interpret what a person is saying based off of what you've concocted, I tell you, it doesn't bring for a beautiful flow in conversation, and the other person just feels so misunderstood, and it just brings tension and continued frustration, because when there is understanding in a conversation, it makes conversations very easy. And the one way to get understanding is when you are focused on that conversation with your rapt, undivided attention. Okay, this next point is extremely important. I'm imploring you to ensure that you're practicing this. Now, the point is just simple. When your speaker is expressing themselves in a deep, personal way, be patient with them and show empathy. Some people sometimes engage in conversations because they want to get things off their chests. They're being emotional with you. Their emotions are all over the place, but they're not so sure how to correctly structure what they're saying. But you get what you're saying because it's coming from a place of emotion. It's important that at that time you just be patient with them and just be there for them, lending your rapt attention, even though what they're saying to you may not necessarily make all the sense in the world to you. But the fact that they're being emotional in that instance requires you to just be patient with them and then show them a lot of empathy. Trust me, that may be the only thing they need to actually feel better and get over whatever it is that is hurting them, okay? This next one is actually also very important, one of my absolute favorite ones, and it's simple. When the conversation is a heated one, let your emotional intelligence swing into full action and try to douse the tension rather than add fuel to the fire. Sometimes you are engaged in very hard conversations, especially with people who are probably angry, annoyed, upset, or you may even be the one who is angry and annoyed and upset. And I call these kind of conversations hard conversations. These kind of conversations are very important and essential for the building of a relationship, so you cannot avoid them. So when you engage in a conversation like that, when the conversation is not necessarily going your way and it's very heated, remember to bring in your emotional intelligence and let it come into play. Emotional intelligence in that instance just simply requires you to detach your emotions from what's going on, detach your emotions from the conversation, and pay attention to the conversation from a place of logic, not emotions. So put your emotions aside. I know, it's easier said than done, but with some practice you can do it. Just tell yourself with awareness, I'm sending my emotions to the side. At that time, your emotions can be feeling of anger, feeling of obsession, a feeling that you're very upset, you want to retaliate. It can be a feeling of sadness. Just say, I'm putting my emotions aside and I'm just going to be here logically and address this from a place of logic. And logic, as an intelligent and mature alien person, requires you to douse the fire instead of allowing it to boomerang really quickly and just explode in everyone's face. So I'm asking and I'm begging, never ever walk away from a heated conversation. Another way to apply logic in this kind of situation is never walk away from the heated conversation. Unless it's a matter of life and death and maybe you're being threatened physically, okay? But never walk away, face it head on. I put here that try your best to settle things amicably and respectfully, and firmly ask for the conversation to be adjourned if it's possible. If you cannot hold down your emotions anymore, you can just firmly ask that the conversation be adjourned so that everyone can ease off and relax, and then we can come back and revisit the situation, okay? And the final point that I've put down here on my list for you to engage in a conversation like an elegant person will be for you to pay attention to your body language. Guys, whether you believe it or not, your body language gives you away in a lot of ways. Your body language can tell a person how well you're invested in the conversation, how interested you are, and how not interested you are. So if you are interested in the conversation like you should be, then give a body language that actually shows that you are interested. Body language is like just listening with rapt attention, nodding, just like making eye contact with the person who is speaking and things like that. And like I said before, if you are not interested in a conversation or you don't want to have the conversation at that time, you can respectfully just ask that the conversation be adjourned or postponed to a later time when you know that you would give it your full attention. And that's pretty much how to have a conversation like an elegant person. Please and please, never be found in a brawl, never be found fighting, never be found engaging in arguments. you can have a conversation with a person without it being heated or feisty. Let's all just be and act like adults, elegant adults that we are. That's pretty much all I have for you for today's video. I hope you learned a thing or two. I learned a thing or two from it. And I'll see you next time with another one. Until then, remember to stay very, very elegant. Take care.